good evening and welcome to Before the Ballot, an Assembly Townhall review. This evening we are going to talk with Secretary Sonny Craig. He is the Assemblyman for Mount Pleasant, Buccoo, and is also the Assistant Secretary, of the Office of the Chief Secretary, THE. I am Keena Macmillan. So this evening we are going to review his tenure over the 4 years. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to just have a good time while him being truthful and honest to the questions. So we have a live audience here with us. We are being seen on Tobago Channel 5 and also being listened at Pulse 89.5 FM. So the format is simple. First, we're going to invite Secretary Craig to summarize his performance over the 4 years. And then we're going to have a discussion with him about his tenure. And then we'll take questions from the public here in studio and from those of you at home. So you can WhatsApp or call with the number 681-1005. So you could call and WhatsApp. The questions are simple. 3 topics. We're going to talk about his representation of the people, 2, his secretarial work, and 3, good governance and leadership. So let's start. Good evening, Secretary Craig.
President, good evening, good evening.
Thank you so much for being here. I know your constituency and Tobago on a whole is glad to see you here this evening.
That's nice.
Yes.
I'm glad to be here also.
Wonderful. So I'll start by giving you 5 minutes to describe your performance over the last 4 years. Please give us a fair and balanced overview of some of the accomplishments and challenges over the time.
Lovely. 5 minutes.
Yes.
I think I will need more than 5 minutes, but
We'll summarize it. We have
gracious.
so many
I'm happy
questions.
to have the 5 minutes.
Yes.
And we go. I came to office on the 6th of December 2021. And when we got to office, the entire team was an inexperienced team. Some of us were experienced in the House, namely the Chief Secretary, Mr. Duke, and Dr. Faith. They were in the minority at that time, or before we came in, and now they were in the majority. So the leadership that was called, was demanded of us, was demanded of 14 at the time, plus 3 councillors who were brand new to the House. So when we got in, we were, of course, excited because we come from the line of politics that, in the Tobago story, that always speaks to the whole question of autonomy. Mm-hmm. We come from the side of the politics that wants Tobago to realize its fullest potential, and we always brand ourselves that way. Personally, I was a part of as a child, I admired the DAC, and I looked at all the different dispensations that kind of spilled out from that. And I was always in support of that side of the politics, whether it was the NAR, there was Tough Duck, I can't remember all now, you know, Tobago Forward right down to where we are. So I was never really fond of the PNM style of politics, and so that's why I ended up on this side, of course. So we are there in the House, and it's fresh, and we are looking at leading Tobago. In my district, in the first year, actually Easter of 2022, my first challenge was presented, where the goat owners of my district, and you would appreciate that the goat race in Tobago, which is so world famous, all the major meets happen in my district. One on Easter Monday at Mount Pleasant, and one on Easter Tuesday at Buccoo Point. So the goat owners are saying now, we have gone through 2 years of COVID. We have been training the goats, hopefully that the whole COVID-19 thing would have blown over. And now 2 years have passed, and we want to have an opportunity to come to the fore and hold a meet. When I spoke to the Buccoo Village Council, who normally puts on the event, they were not thrilled at the option of doing it on short notice. And I thought that it should come off. So in tandem with some of the same people who work along with Buccoo, we were able to pull off what we called at the time Taste of Buccoo, because the Buccoo Crab and Goat Race Festival is protected by copyright. So we had to create our own brand just for that event. And that was the first challenge. We pulled it off successfully. Of course, it wasn't perfect. We had hitches, and the hitches extended to the point where some of the winners were paid late. The price distribution happened late. Nonetheless, the goat owners were satisfied, and I gained their respect to some extent, where they continued to converse with me when they had to deal with matters in relation to that. During that year or so, I had the opportunity of really getting to know the villages more intimately. Getting to know them not just from walking the streets and soliciting their support, but now I am seeing where the development plans and the projections for the community coming from the previous regime, what actually obtained. You know, there were jobs done, and if you remember, we campaigned on the brand, let me fix this. And the more I got into the whole reality of the job and what presented itself on the ground, the more I was seeing things to fix. And so, in collaboration with my teammates, one example is in the Buccoo area again, because of the COVID, even before the goat race, the track had overgrown. There was no maintenance to the track. There was no maintenance to the play field in the community. It was actually a kind of, the brush had grown to chest height. And so we had to move in and remove all the brush, get it cut. And we had a kind of, for want of a better term, it was a battle, because all the assemblymen are now raring to go and they want their districts to look good. But even as far as the support systems were not able to catch up. So then some of the things we wanted to do, we were not able to do them as briskly as we would have liked to. For example, tractor pool. For us to restore some of the grounds, we had to bring in tractor pool. It wasn't a lawnmower fix, right? It wasn't a fix that you could fix with a lawnmower. You had to bring in tractor pool to cut the grounds. In some cases, you had to plow them up and rake out all the roots and so on. And that demand was all around. And so those are some of the early challenges.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. So we're now going to go into the questions.
Yes, miss.
Representation of the people.
Yes, miss.
So tell me, what are your proudest accomplishments for the people of Buccoo, Mount Pleasant?
Could I go to my notepad?
Sure.
All right, good. So in that same season, well, not just Buccoo, but Mount Pleasant ground had fallen into disrepair, and Canaan ground had fallen into disrepair. The larger part of Canaan is part of my district. I'm still agitating to have it included officially, so the district could be named Buccoo, Mount Pleasant, Canaan.
Right.
But I've written, and I'm awaiting a response. Nonetheless, but all three villages are blessed with quality recreational facility. Buccoo ground might be a bit smaller than the standard. And there we were, we had to restore the grounds. We had to bring in backfill, fill material, and we had to have graders brought in to remove some of the rough, because persons were herding their animals on the grounds. In the case of Buccoo, they had horses on the grounds. And when the ground is wet and the horses walk, the indentation is made, and when it's dry, it is almost like permanent. So we had to do a lot of work to restore all three grounds. And when I see them in use now, I feel very good. I feel very heartened. Apart from the grounds, we had the Mount Pleasant recreational facility, which was overrun by bats and so on over the time. The toilet facilities were not working. We had to restore it, because while we were fighting for taste of Buccoo, we were also fighting to ensure we have a production at Mount Pleasant, because people were accustomed to the Monday and the Tuesday being filled with activity in the district. So those were some of my proud moments on the ground and in the community, things that were able to be worked out.
And which project you would say best show that you serve the people?
I think those might be the projects. I have a list of things that we attempted, yeah, and I think that we went so far as to even bring in missionaries and did health training programs and, I mean, pressure testing and so on. Now, one would think that these practices are, a commonplace in our medical fraternity, but it doesn't hurt, because even with not simple, but anytime you have questions about a diagnosis, it doesn't hurt to have a second or a third opinion. So if we have persons who live in the cosmopolitan or the metropolitan areas coming in as volunteers, to do the same testing and to make recommendations. There are those who specialize in, I hope I get the word right, I think it's podiatry or something like the sort. Excuse me, don't quote me on that. But anyhow, they specialize in foot care. And I learned from them that a lot of persons who lose toes and lose their feet because of diabetic complications, that could be prevented if you have the right training to deal with them. So those are some of the other nice things that I want to touch base on. But let me say that the main concerns in my community, or the main deficiencies, I hope I'm not rushing you, but that will inform the reactions, right? We have challenges with unemployment. We have challenges in the social sector, because as a spin-off of the unemployment, you will get persons who are on the poverty line, yeah? And of course, we have also, there's a third one that's not coming to me now, but we have unemployment, we have the poverty problem, and we have to, those are the things that I really wanted to press on.
Right.
Now, the unemployment situation in Tobago is born of what could be termed a deliberate denial or oversight. But if you look at any developed country, if you look at countries that really excel, recently I was watching the World Games, and when the marathon was coming in, they were running on the track, and there were the advertisement blocks on the track. And you see Gillette, and you see a lot of private sector countries. You look at the premiership, and you see around the field the names of companies that support the premiership. The big money earners are not necessarily persons who work in the government. They are private sector.
Sectors, right.
And so if you look at simply as Trinidad, you could leave high school in Trinidad, go to work in the private sector, leave at 60 or 65, and your security is well put in place to carry you the rest of your life. In Tobago...
Let me pause you on that. You said your biggest challenges is unemployment.
Yes.
So is there anything implementing? Are you working with them?
Right.
How are we going to help them with that?
And in a lot of cases, the unemployment is a spin-off of almost like a trained position. I'll go back to come forward, right? When I left high school at 16, I went and signed up for a morning work. And at that time, I got a job. But I was raking seaweed on the beach for maybe 2 hours in the morning, and I went back to school because I finished Compre and I know I'm going to Harmons now. So I determined to pay my own school fees, so I'm working early morning, and the foreman gave me a blight to get ready to go to school. But it wasn't enough for me. And after I finished high school, I moved on and moved on. And I am noticing now that in Tobago, the options and the visions, the vision is not necessarily as intense or as forthright as I think it could be. I believe with all my heart, every single person has the potential for success. Regardless of what your situation is, you have what it takes to succeed in life. And not because you're sitting in a situation where you maybe were born into poverty or you made some blunders along the way. You are 30 years old and you have 4 or 5 children, different fathers, and you sit back and say, well, this is my portion. It's pressure until. I don't believe we must ever succumb to any level of pressure or negativity. So the unemployment situation in Tobago, a part of it is self-inflicted because of our people's sense of vision and what they see as potential in their future. A government has a responsibility to create the environment for persons to get employed and for persons to strive and to get to their fullest potential. Sometimes people ask me for assistance in getting a job. They'll tell me what they want, and and I would tell them, I said, but you wouldn't be able to go on a cruise with that job. That job will help you pay your internet bill, and you'll always be online, yes. You'll get some grocery, yeah, but you can't go on a cruise. So what do you plan to do? And they will say, well, I'll get another job along with that. And there's a lot of conversation to be had, and there's a lot of potential to be unearthed in the Tobago space.
Right. What do you think is causing this mindset of the people?
I think it was trained over time. After Hurricane Flora, I have friends who moved out of Tobago and never came back. Because Flora, I wasn't present, but my father told me the rebuilding effort was a major effort. And some people just went off to Trinidad and they got a job and they continued. But somehow, when Dr. Eric Williams brought in the unemployment relief, which was called DUDE at the time, DEWD, we coined it as Dr. Eric Williams Darling. But that was I can't remember the real name because we played with that so long that that's the only thing I remember. But people that's where the idea of 2 hours in the morning came, and you could go back home and work your garden and so on. But some people, when they realized that they got this little bit of money in their hand, and they feel they could make it with that, they didn't go back to the garden. Recently, I was doing some real estate, and an agent carried me up into the mountains in Moriah to see a property. And we walked for about an hour. And when I got there, we walked through forests, valleys, and banks and so on. I'm seeing potato banks cut into the forest. I said, and I asked the old guy, I said, a fit old man, I said, are these potato banks? He said, yes. As a child, we used to work garden here. And when I see the distance, I said, oh, that's why after a while you get in 2 hours work in the morning. Who telling you to walk this distance with a donkey to come up here? So the whole Tobago story is one where somebody didn't maybe embrace the technology and was able to really fire the people up to look beyond this early morning thing. And here it is. It's still with us. Yeah?
Yes, thank you for that. Residents like to see their representative.
Yes.
They like to be able to access you
Yes.
easily, invite you to their weddings, they have a
Yes.
funeral. How do you make yourself available to them?
I'll start from the end. With funerals, I try to attend as many funerals as possible.
Right.
And once I get in, I like to sing a little verse and a chorus, a little encouragement for the family, and to let them know what the Almighty Father has in store for them, and it's not the end of the road. Right? Weddings are optional because, you know, as a political figure, normally half of the society likes you and half will not favor your policy, even if they like you. But so weddings are optional. I get to go to some weddings. In the 3 major villages I represent, each village thinks I'm in the other 2 villages more than them. So Buccoo not seeing me enough, Cana not seeing me enough, Mount Pleasant not seeing me enough. And it is not practical to be seen every day, because sometimes you go to homes and you call, nobody's home. After you do the regular work, because sometimes the assemblyman day starts way before 8. And you know your not constituents, but your members. Let me just set that right, because constituents are for the parliamentary arm of the politics. But in the THA, we have districts with members. So the members, to get them at home, you have to hang around a bit, maybe till 4 or 5 in the evening, and then you get to visit them. And when night comes in, which would come anytime between 5 and 7, it doesn't seem ethical to be calling people out to say, the assemblyman is here to see you. People want to see the news. So then what I do is, one of the occasions that really gets the people coming out is funerals. If you go to a funeral, regardless of how people live, in Tobago, you still get a lot of support for funerals. So I try to attend funerals. I get to see a good...
So I could be at a funeral and tell you my concern.
Of course.
Have a wall in the back of my house.
Of course. I look for a shady area and say, come into my office, and we go in the shade preferably. Even the graveyard, after all the singing and the burial, sometimes I have conversations with people. I take the information, and it's not a guarantee, because this administration, of which I'm a part of, we were not blessed from the beginning with all the resources we needed to do the work. And so persons will identify challenges, I will document them. They might see me a year after and say, you forget me? I said, no, it's not that I forget you, but we have to work with an order.
Beautiful.
Right?
Thank
and that's
you
how
for
it
that.
is,
Yes. So what has been done to help local entrepreneurs and service providers grow in Buccoo, Mount Pleasant, and Cana?
All right. So the Business Development Unit has programs available to assist persons who are interested in business, and they could sign up for the help. One of the challenges I'm meeting in my community is that many folks.
Secretary Craig, let me pause you a bit.
Yeah.
We'll have to take a break.
Okay.
So stay tuned with us. We'll
All
be
right.
right back.
All right.
Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything, almost anything, almost anytime, almost every day. We in every season for every reason. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything you want from a pharmacy. Just ask our pharmacist. Well, almost. We are here to serve all of you all of the time. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. 141 Chauvin Road, Buccoo. Call our pharmacy on 610-7634 or our supermart on 768-0723 and 766-0476. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy.
Escape to elegance at Le Chateau Suites Tobago. Gated privacy, breathtaking villas, unforgettable memories, where Caribbean dreams become reality.
Rise and shine in the morning is just part of my day.
From 6:30 to 8:30 every day. Foreign man says so.
It informs me of what happens in Tobago.
I find it to be so informative. Every aspect of Tobago affairs is being discussed there. So I will continue to look at Rise and Shine. That's my thing.
Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
I love Rise and Shine.
Have you visited Tobago Channel 5's Facebook or Instagram pages lately? Well, check them out now for all the interviews and up-to-date news. Remember to like, share and follow for Tobago news and current affairs information at your fingertips.
So you're watching Before the Ballot, and we have Secretary Sonny Craig here with us. So we're going to continue. Buccoo is known for its cultural energy. As you said before, you have the goat racing, the crab racing in both Mount Pleasant and Buccoo. Yes. You have the beach economy, Sunday school on an evening. What have you done to support or protect the heritage?
All right. Well, since I've been in power, we have been, excuse me, we have not missed a beat, excuse me. Right, with the Buccoo goat race, we ensure that it comes off yearly, and we are also now working on having younger men as jockeys in the field. It's one of the fields that, as a representative, I don't need to really do much, but to create the environment, because the men have a driving force behind them, and that's the force that motivates a lot of men in sports. You know that is? That's what you call bragging rights and pick-on. If you are around them and somebody wins a race and they're going back to the pens, you should see the energy. And I'm not in any measure of doubt that Buccoo goat race will continue for a long time. The guys are doing the work. We have created the facility, we have created the space for them to work, and they are bringing in younger guys now, 13, 14. But it's a kind of brutal sport, because when you watch the race in motion, and if that rope tangles with somebody, the fall is not a normal fall. It calls for youth, it calls for strength, it calls for fitness. So even if the younger guys are training, you can't really put them between the big guys as yet. Right. They have to acquire a certain kind of confidence and a certain kind of, command of the goat. So the goat race is safe, I think. Yes. And the team that does the goat race, they race at all the meets. And most of them come from that catchment area, Buccoo, Mount Pleasant, Canaan. Bonner called Crown Point. We have jockeys now coming as far as Payside from the Chief Secretary's district. So the goat race is safe. And what will make, and not just goat race, but everything in Buccoo,
Right.
the villagers have a sense of pride in it. The Sunday school was begun by the Buccoo Buccaneer Steel Orchestra, and they are out there every Sunday night playing and serenading the public. So the responsibility that I have is to ensure that as an administration, we have the hard way out there to keep the different cultural practices going. Yeah?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. According to some of the residents, development has been slower than expected. What specific projects are ongoing now, and will they be completed before the next election?
No, they will not be completed before the next election. One of the things that we have high on the agenda is that this is up to argument, but I'm not going to argue about it. Buccoo Beach is trending right now.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Buccoo Beach is trending, and it's the place of choice, especially on long weekends. There needs to be some modification in how we care for that space. We meaning the users. For example, the young men believe it's a place to do sound off. So they come down with their cars really pumped, and when they start to play, the lifeguards have to beg them, take it down, because if somebody's in distress and you blow the whistle, you can't hear the whistle. So these are we have to shape the product as it evolves. So we have the Buccoo Beach development plan, which would come on stream. We are hoping to start it shortly, but I'm not in the mama guy thing. I ain't going to tell you get it before elections.
Right.
The boardwalk needs to be renovated. The boardwalk was done somewhere around 2020. But sadly, some of the material used to do the boardwalk was not the best. When you're doing construction with the exposure to the sea blast, you have to pick your material well. There are types of lumber coming out of South America, coming out of Guyana, Brazil, that are excellent for marine construction. We might need to replace some of the lumber we have there with that type of consistency, or maybe change to a totally different material. So right now, the department that manages the boardwalk, we are working together to get the job spec up so we could put it back out there for tendering, and of course we'll want to get it done better. It's a place people come for wedding photos, and people just enjoy coming to the space. But the idea was a good idea, but the material was not the best.
And what about in Mount Pleasant and Canaan?
Right. So Mount Pleasant, we have the Mount Pleasant is strong with sports also, and youth. They have a very good football team which is playing in both Trinidad. One arm of the team is playing in Trinidad, one arm in Tobago. So there's a need for some help with the pan side, Dixieland Steel Orchestra, a long playing steel orchestra. The facility they have, there's a need for renovation. I'm trying to work with them to see where we could prevent the band or prevent any entity from depending on the THA for 100% support. See if we could do concerts, do fundraising and so on. And the marketing is critical, because we're in a generation where maybe 30 years ago, when this was not in everybody's hand, they would be looking for a place to really find some excitement, to meet friends. But with this device now, you find that people are not really anxious. So we have to create the kind of environment so people will want to come out. Recently, one of the pan sides, a group of elderly pan men came out and they were playing some of the old ballads. You know, me and you were singing some ballads earlier, and they played the old ballads. And you have a nice mature audience came out to hear that, and they had some guys come and do some singing. It was well supported. So you know, you'll still get a good support from the mature audience, but to catch a young audience, that's the challenge. And it could be done because the market research is there. You could make the adjustment and get them coming out. In Canaan, another strong sporting community. Canaan is part of Buccoo Mount Pleasant district, But the truth be told, Canaan and Bonaccord are like twins. So although they are part of the Buccoo and Pleasant district, when you're developing Canaan and you put something on the ground in Canaan, the recreation ground is between the two villages. If you fix something on the ground and you bring an event to the ground, you're actually inviting the whole of Bonaccord also. I don't have a problem with that because that's how Tobagonians live. I like that. So there is a need, and I think that Canaan could do with some more sporting activity. We want to revive an event in Canaan that we used to call Pacarable Sports. That was a sport that produced a lot of the great athletes of the time from that area. And Canaan is also blessed to have produced people like Clint York, national cricketer, Ken Williams, national cricketer, Dwight York. I don't need to say much more about Dwight York, present national football coach. And then there were guys before them like Sumbi and Melville, and they who represented well. So there is work to be done. There is work to be done. But as I said earlier, we have been functioning under some constraints. There are those who would say that we got so much money, but they would not say how much bills we met when we came to power. And some of these bills are bills where folk are threatening court action and so on. And if you could see in your research that it's better to settle, we settle. If we could go through the litigation and go through the court proceedings, we go through. But based on what I'm observing, being on the inside, is that the Chief Secretary, along with the Secretary of Finance, are doing a fantastic job in trying to balance the resources we have and to ensure Tobago gets the development. We are not where we want to be. Yeah, it's not perfect. There are a lot of things that still need fixing on the island, but we are still working towards that and bringing new, exciting spaces on the island for the Tobago people.
Thank you. So how has your partnership been with the village councils, the schools, the churches, to strengthen the youth development? All right,
so the village councils, Buccoo has a fairly good village council. Canaan Bonaccord also has one. The village council at Canaan Bonaccord invited myself and actually Member of Parliament for Tobago West, Mr. Joel Sampson. We had a meeting where, of course, we were put on stage and the community were asking us to deliver. And they had their concerns. And at the end of the meeting, we made a commitment, and the 16th of October is the next meeting of the Canaan Bonaccord Village Council. And we are going to be there to sit with them to help steer them where they should be. So I'll admit that my involvement in that particular village council has something to be desired, and I'm going to work on that. Mount Pleasant, I sit with them from time to time. Right now, one of the big things happening in their favor is that they might have one of the only village councils, community centers in my district, or maybe in Southwest Tobago, that doesn't have air condition. So when you go for a function, you have to go with your fan. All the windows open. We have the electrical standing fans, and you're still warm. Recently, I initiated getting the whole place rewired because you need to get it at a stage where it's receptive to the power demands of the air conditioning system. And we should get that place cool and running by the end of this month. Okay. So that's one thing that's nice that's happening in Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant has a massive spread when you look at it from the community center on the main road all the way back to the recreation ground. We have the Dixieland right next door. We have the community center and the preschool. We have the hockey grounds. We have hard courts which need to be repaired, and we have the recreation ground with pavilion and everything. So it's a nice recreational, almost like a little village. And for this Yuletide season, one of our plans is to set up some nice concession spaces, have the major tree in that circle lit, and have people come out and, just do a little village trade and so on. Right. Now, you spoke about the young people, right? The young people, the facilities are there. For example, the hard court, it needs to be repaired. The Division of Community Development and Sport are working on refurbishing all the grounds in Tobago, because you see that some of them, I still don't understand how the wires get torn up like that, but the wires are torn up and torn down. Some of the metal work, the framework is rusted and falling apart. So the grounds in my district are on the drawing board to be done. I wish they could have been done before the election, but the reality of the journey is this.
Yes.
You will not get everything before an election. And in all 4 years, it's highly unreasonable to expect us to deliver everything. Yeah, so we'll be pressing forward.
Understand. So how do you balance tourism growth while keeping the community peaceful and protecting the environment?
You said tourism growth? Well, the tourism growth would come as we create the space for tourists to come in. And one of them, like I mentioned, the Buccoo Beach development. We are blessed to have Buccoo and Canaan joined by the wetlands. These are the same wetlands that were in the conversation when Sandals was to come to my district. Sandals was to be built in my district. And the wetlands present golden opportunities, like for tour guides. There are birds that come to the wetlands in my district that I'm not allowed to say publicly, right? Maybe I've said enough, because I've said enough. But they would make a great addition to our walking tour of the wetlands. One of the things we aim at doing in my next year
Cathedral Credit Union is
to develop, if you've been to Magdalena and you've been through the wetlands and the mangrove, you'll see elevated walkways, nice wooden walkways, and hopefully we could get some of those installed between Buccoo and Canaan. And you might be able to just take a nature walk from Buccoo to Canaan. Isn't that interesting? You could come out at the back of Milford Court Housing Development, and it's a nice walk. The variety of birds in there is amazing. It's a place that only hunters go. They go and catch a little crab and bush meat and whatever. But the bird species are well preserved in that area.
How are you going to protect the environment then?
Education is one of the first things. Education is critical. When you travel around Tobago, sometimes you see some beautiful fishes, right? Hanging on poles. Sometimes they're green, sometimes they're kind of orangish, reddish, yellow. You know the fish I'm talking about? And they tell me it's a real nice fish with coconut juice and so on. I learned recently that this fish, I think it's a parrotfish we call it, this fish is one of the main creators of reefs. They chew up coral and pass them out. And we, in the absence of education, we could eat them all out. And that could be a negative influence on our coral reefs. So education is critical from the primary school level, even preschool. You just put it in a song and it sticks, because I still sing Bits of Paper from 1972. So you put it in a song and I cannot drop something and feel comfortable because that song rings with me. If we have the educational system in its right place, I've traveled to other islands, right? And I've seen how people react to the environment because they understand it as being the main pillar in preserving their tourism product.
Yes.
Yeah?
Wonderful. So we're going to go to the other topic, which is secretarial work.
All right.
Yes. So you began at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, and later joined the office of the Chief Secretary.
Yes.
What led to that?
Well, at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, that was headed up by Dr. Faith Brebner, and it presented its own challenges. Health is a simple yet complex thing, and I saw myself functioning not necessarily. We can't have two professionals. When I say two professionals, I mean Dr. Faith and myself. She is so well learned, and she manages her field so well. My input was more in developing in the alternative systems of health. What do I mean? You would appreciate also that there are a lot of persons who feel pharmaceuticals are the way to go. Tobago, comorbidities was popular during COVID. And most of the people who died at the time of the virus, the report said that they suffered certain comorbidities, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's whatever. And my answer to that was, Dr. Faith, let me seek to develop an answer to that. Because she was instructed in the first place back in about 2007, 2008 in a project that was called Know Your Numbers, where people were encouraged to take responsibility for what their blood pressure reading was, what your pulse was, what your blood count was. And I'm saying in the same way as I was encouraging her, we started a fitness program where we went all around Tobago on Sunday mornings, exercising in different villages and trying to promote that lifestyle, yeah? When the Chief Secretary spoke to a realignment of the Assemblymen, you know, I thought I could take on a different challenge. And so I asked him, I said, where else could you put me? And he asked me, where do I want to go? And I liked agriculture. Some people think it's because I like food, but who doesn't like food? Yeah, but agriculture is well covered, you know. The Chief Secretary wanted to head up an area that dealt specifically with the environment and environmental challenges. As an island, Tobago is just, what, 116 square miles? Yet, debris thrown from a ship 100 miles out from here could come onto our shores and create a challenge for us. A ship passing by Tobago capsized and dumped how many hundreds of gallons of oil and was looking to destroy all those delicate wetlands behind Magdalena down there. So he thought it prudent to have somebody as being a part of the team heading up that area, and he asked me to serve in that area, and I gladly accepted.
And what has been your biggest learning curve between the two portfolios? My own potential. Yeah, I think that sometimes we limit ourselves to what, sometimes we had childhood dreams to be something, you know, and when you realize, sometimes people come to me for a job and I say, what are your skill, what's your skill set? And one young lady said, I'm doing law, and she was asked to, she got a position as a, one of those interns for the summer jobs in the Division of Health. And I was explaining to her, I said, listen, she was complaining. I said, wouldn't it be interesting as a lawyer if you have to do a malpractice case, that what you learn at health during the summer comes back to inform your strategy dealing with that case in law 5 years down the road? And she understood me. And I said, it's really a great opportunity when we could learn more and more stuff, you know? So coming from health, I learned a lot from Dr. Faith and the team there. And now I'm in the Department of the Environment, and the point person is Mr. Linford Beckles, excellent resource person. And I'm interacting with him. We have systems set up to monitor the gases emitted from Sargassum. We set that up in Speyside, and so we could ascertain when the gas has reached a level that is dangerous to the health of the persons in the community. Because in some jurisdictions, it demanded that you evacuate everybody. Okay, Secretary. So we have to take another break. We'll be right back.
All right.
Need furniture and appliances for your home at affordable prices? It's time to visit JG's Furniture and Appliances Limited at their showroom at Smithfield No. 2 in Scarborough. There's more room to shop, more furniture and appliances, more brands to choose from, all at the same affordable price. Get everything you need to furnish your home, like stoves, fridges, washing machines, couches, dining sets. They even have swing chairs, school desks, chase lounges, sports sets, garden benches, day beds, and coffee tables. JG's is perfect for gift ideas for new and established homeowners. A wide variety of furniture and appliances. After 35 years, JG's is still Tobago's top choice for furniture and appliances. Visit their showrooms either at Orange Hill Road or Smithfield No. 2. JG's, make your dream home come true.
Cathedral Credit Union is celebrating big. Get up to $81,000 at just 0.8% interest with our anniversary loan. And because Christmas is in the air, we're spreading cheer with up to $60,000 at only 1%. Visit cathedralcutt.com or call 235-6947 today. Cathedral Credit Union. Member owned, member focused.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tapago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tapago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tapago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tapago's at your service.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Welcome back to Before the Ballot. We are here with Secretary Sonny Craig, so we're going to continue. During your time, the Auditor General's report found problems with the food voucher distribution. What did you do to fix it and make sure it didn't happen again?
Well, that was not directly my responsibility to fix, yeah?
Right.
So the Auditor General, anything with the Auditor General is normally dealt with by the Division of Finance and more directly maybe the Chief, most likely Chief Secretary. Right. So I would not necessarily be the one to really comment on that one. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Many appreciated the division's partnership with the Children's Authority in 2022. What has been done what has been achieved since then to better protect vulnerable children?
Well, I was privileged when I came on to the job and was visiting the facilities that dealt with disadvantaged children. And it was really nice to see. We did some tours and we kept touring from time to time. We have persons responsible for following up with these institutions to ensure that the children get the best possible care, right? It's a field that is monitored by professionals. And being in the political space, you will not necessarily always be a hands-on person in what obtains in every home, but the reports will come. We do our visits as political people and as persons responsible to ensure that the children are well fed, they are secure, and they are well taken care of. So that's an ongoing situation. Yeah.
Okay. After COVID, Tobago public health system struggled with low staff morale and shortages. What did you do to improve and stabilize services?
That was a universal challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, COVID had done a job on the entire world. Yeah, I think it comes with continually having conversations with staff, continually motivating them. One of the best motivators in our culture is to ensure they get paid on time and to ensure they have the tools to do the job. And those were some of the challenges, the tools especially at the public health. Under the public health, some of the workers were questioning as to how long will it take for them to get replacement protective gear and so on. And it was something that fell into the whole catch pit of areas where the financial challenges were impacting, because you cannot ask people to do, especially public health, where the risk is high that you could contract some kind of disease. You need to get the right gloves, you need to get the right mask and so on. So that was a challenging time, but I think that has been dealt with. The head of public health, Mr. Ricardo Bob, he's adamant. I wasn't there to see the end product of the initiatives that were attempted, but I'm hoping that all that has worked out over time. Yeah.
You now lead Tobago's energy and carbon plans. What steps are you taking to reduce it and the carbon footprint in Tobago?
One of the first things we are attempting to do is to minimize the use of plastics, and also to get into full-fledged recycling. We have persons bidding to come on board to handle recycling. We have from Trinidad, we have from Canada. The Chief Secretary is setting up a committee to look at the different offers to see which one we could best work with in the interest of Tobago. They must come with their track record. I don't think we'll take anybody who is experimenting and fresh out the blocks and all of a sudden they want to start in Tobago. We want to ensure that they bring a proposal to the table that benefits the people of Tobago. It must be a win-win situation, right? We are exploring also the use of the sargassum seaweed. In some jurisdictions, the seaweed is recycled. Some research has shown that the gases coming out of it is not the best thing to recycle. So then we are not at the front. Maybe we'll just jump in there when everything is made up, because every research is costly. Even the harvesting of the seaweed is costly. Some places they have specially designed boats to harvest the seaweed with roller blades that bring it all into a storage bay, and you could deposit in a special location. We have had an offer from the Japanese government to grant us a boat or two, and that is an option we definitely want to explore. I think the movement of the seaweed has eased up a bit, but we know where it comes from out in the Atlantic Ocean, it is not done yet. We expect to get a lot more. The island, we have our cleanup campaigns from time to time where we go to different beaches and we collect bags and bags of plastics. So plastics represent one of the areas where we could jump in and have a good amount of raw material to recycle. So recycling is the way to go. We want to eventually stop the use of plastic bags, but you would appreciate that if Tobago puts something in place and Trinidad doesn't have the same rule, you find that there's a question of the law, and is it illegal? Can't I bring my plastics from Trinidad and do my thing and use my plastic? So we have to have a national position, right? In the absence of that, we are putting the framework in place to encourage people to begin to go to the grocery with your own bag.
Has that started at all?
Well, we have not jumped out in public, as it has said, because we have that little limbo, that little fence to go under over as to whether or not we're going to team up with Trinidad and how are we going to do it going forward. So that conversation is ongoing. One of the things that we have embraced and we are almost ready, actually we have been talking about it for a while. We have the space provided, and one of the things we want to do is to get into the collection of all the derelict vehicles on the road. We are just about to put the first truck out there under police protection and with monitoring staff to begin to pick up derelict vehicles on the road. These vehicles, where they trap water and so on, that becomes a health hazard because mosquitoes use that as a nesting ground.
I need to pause you for a bit because you just got a question here.
Yeah, go on.
Question for Sonny Craig. You mentioned managing the sargassum issue. This has been an issue since 2011. Why is it still an issue in Tobago when we see other places from St. Lucia to Mexico develop approaches to minimize its impact?
Well, I think I answered that a little while, didn't I?
Yeah, but that's the question.
All right. So we are getting the boats ready to harvest them at sea and to bring it to a special storage area. I know that it has taken a while, but one of the things that I'm realizing in governance is that persons, but when I was not in governance, I also noticed that there are some challenges that appear to be easily surmountable. Yeah, and when you get into the seat of power, you realize that it takes a lot more than just you see it, you see something, just pick it up and put it in its place. But governance has so many different checks and balances and so many different layers of protection to ensure things are done above board and there's no potential for corruption. So I came out of the private sector. I used to run my own business. I ran business for 13 years, and when a decision is to be made, I make my decision and I take action. And in this job, yes,
Sorry.
go on.
As someone from Canaan, I was not happy when Canaan was split to be partly represented by Buccoo, Mount Pleasant. I'm happy to hear that you're working to reunite Canaan, but isn't that the job of the EBC? And based on population, what can you really do?
All right, so the end of the question speaks the truth, of course. That was the EBC's decision. Some say it was Mr. Rowley's decision, but the electoral team did their work and they joined Canaan more fully. A part of Canaan was always part of Buccoo, Mount Pleasant. The higher part of Canaan up Golden Grove Road or Douglas Street going back up. But they decided to put Canaan more fully with Buccoo and Mount Pleasant. And another part of Canaan was joined to Lambo Lowlands. What was the rationale? I don't know. But as the representative, I have to look out for the people of Canaan. And now with Joel Sampson off to the parliament, he still has a supervisory role over Bonaccord, but he supervises the whole of Tobago West, which includes Bonaccord. But I, as the representative for Canaan, understanding the culture of Canaan Bonaccord, still look out for Bonaccord indirectly. So I understand the concern. It happens also in other villages. You know, Canby, Mount Pleasant came as one package. Plymouth Bethesda came as one package. You find Bethesda now is pegged with Laker 2, and Plymouth is linked with Blackrock. So I've never done the research. I've always taken it as the EBC. I trust their wisdom and they create the boundaries and so on. Persons might not always be happy, but it's something, any concern that somebody in my district has, I look into it because I will not see everything. And I trust my constituents or my members to look at that.
Okay. So we are still struggling with the plastic and solid waste. How are we to ensure that your office will push the agenda to households and businesses?
This is something that will be very strongly, we'll go at it forcefully in the new term. Yeah? In the new term, we are going to go forcefully at it. From the time we came to power, we were looking at the whole idea of having specialized bins and so on. That will call for a whole revamping of how we do garbage collection. We'll have to pattern what happens in the larger countries where you have special days for plastics, special days for flammable stuff like paper and so on. And that initiative is major. We have to color code all the trucks. We'll have to renegotiate with the contractors who pick up the garbage. And you know, in governance, when you need to change something, you need to change it in a way where you wouldn't get that back pressure of your changes and it just falls back because of force of habit. You have to make a change, a clean-cut change, and you have to do the whole educational program to go with it. So I'm saying that in our new term, it's something we're going to be going at forcefully, and I'm hoping that we could be successful. I was talking about the collection of derelict cars. It has been a while. People are disturbed about them sharing the road space. So now you want to drive and derelict cars are just there as hindrances on the road. So that's something that this department is going to follow up on.
So you have another question?
Yes, of course.
With the responsibility for climate change, are you also looking at the adoption of Tobago to be the dangers of climate change? Have you been able to improve Tobago's ability to adapt to climate damages over the last 4 years?
One of the major damages that has hit the island is bleaching of our corals. Bleaching of our corals is something, some of these damages come because of global warming. And as an island state, we have to speak through the national government from a United Nations standpoint to get any kind of changes or any kind of implementation done. You know global warming is triggered by mostly gases in the atmosphere from the industrialized countries. You look at the island of Tobago and you look the length and breadth, you wouldn't see, the only smoke you will see maybe is from a barbecue grill or somebody burning some rubbish in the backyard. So we are victims of an international challenge. I have been attending meetings where agreements are being looked at as small island states where we could have a voice in the conversation. In November, there is a conference in Brazil, right, to which Tobago would be represented also, where there are negotiations happening and having us say our piece. But as a small island state, we have to work along with as a region, and that's where politically we could be stronger if we work as a region in really sharing our concerns and having a voice at the table. Yeah.
By chance, do you know what is Tobago's carbon footprint?
I can't say. No, not now. I can't say it at the moment. Yeah.
How is Tobago's green agenda linked to country's overall energy policy, given that Trinidad focuses on hydrocarbons?
Tobago's, read the question again, please. How is
Tobago's green agenda linked to the country's overall energy policy, given that Trinidad focuses on hydrocarbon?
In Tobago, we have, wow, it's beating me now. There's a project implemented up in the main ridge forest. Why is it slipping me now? Where we have a large section of the rainforest being monitored continually. And we are trying to see how best we could incorporate sustainable agriculture. We cannot afford to have our development just go by feeling or what you just want to do, but it must be monitored and it must be able to sustain a certain percentage of the green efficiency that the island needs for its survival. So that is continually being monitored. I don't know why that term is slipping me at the moment. But we have Mr. Beckles, and we are working with international scientists right here on the island, trying to monitor where we are in relation to the total green conversation to ensure that we remain safe.
There are youths that are saying they want to be in green jobs. Are there any opportunities for them now? If no, do you foresee any in the future?
Yes. In developing this particular department, there was room for up to 16 positions, and the room is still there, right? The expansion of the division of this department is hinged on availability of funds to monitor. I tell young people sometimes, when you take somebody into a position, you take them in having the structure in place to sustain them for longevity for a while. You do not take somebody on and then release them or retrench them because of financial constraints. So we want to do this in a way where we could sustain and keep them going, right? So the vacancies are there, but we are not able to fill them as yet. Hopefully, as time goes by, we'll be able to do that. Okay. Yeah?
We heard Secretary James say that sometimes environmental protection goes too slowly for infrastructural development. So when building roads or other new projects, how do you balance that with protecting the environment?
When we see what happened recently when we built a new road through Canaan, on the back of Canaan, and I must let the villagers of Canaan know that I was part of the conversation. That was something to alleviate the pressure on that main road. And we have plans of building more roads to take the pressure off, because the development of that peninsula of Tobago will not stop in the short term. A lot of construction is still happening in the area. So we are ahead of the curve. We want to beat the island while it's hot, so there are more roads to come into this space. There is also a comprehensive drainage plan for the southwest end of the island, which drops squarely in my district and goes into the Bonaccord Crown Point district. Some of the development that was done by the previous administration was not monitored. And because of that lack of monitoring, they clogged natural water courses. And there are some areas in Canaan that never used to flood that are flooding now. So we need to have that comprehensive drainage plan. Mr. James is right. Things take too long. My private sector, public sector conversion has taught me that. We are in conversations with EMA to see how best we could deal with this. The island, the demands for the development of Tobago is great. Yeah, development, not necessarily more buildings, but more opportunities. It doesn't have to be more buildings. And definitely we need to break that hurdle that continues to restrain the development of the island.
Thank you. How do you track the island's environmental progress? And what figures or success stories can you share that it's working?
The island's coastline tell us a story. If you've been to Pigeon Point and you've been to the Dragon Boat Festival, have you? I don't know. No, you've never been there. All right, fine. But if you go around the edge of Pigeon Point, there's a massive sandbar. There are the huts, there are the coconut trees. This expanse of sand that the windsurfers would rest their equipment. I remember as a child that was seawater. And we have Robbins, we have Crystal, we have a team that work to monitor the coast of the island. If you're old enough, you get to see where there's land now in some areas where it used to be sea. And we see that, so there's a team monitoring that. And if you go to Roxborough now, and you leave Kendall, when you leave Kendall going up the stretch to go into Roxborough, there are some houses, buildings on the right side, where the sea is undermining them. They didn't get approval to build there, though they built out of their love for the space and the sea breeze and whatever, but now the sea is encroaching. So then nature is not stagnant. It's always moving. So we have people monitoring the island, the coastline, to ensure that, so that it's critical that when you go to do anything, you get the requisite approvals to build. Because many times it seems as a drawback, but we need to speed it up correctly. But it's a relevant service in the progress of the island.
All right, then we're going to take a break. We'll be back shortly.
No problem.
Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything, almost anything, almost anytime, almost every day. We in every season for every reason. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything you want from a pharmacy. Just ask our pharmacist. Well, almost. We are here to serve all of you all of the time. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. 141 Chauvin Road, Buccoo. Call our pharmacy on 610-7634 or our supermart on 768-0723 and 766-0476. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy.
Cathedral Credit Union is celebrating big. Get up to $81,000 at just 0.8% interest with our anniversary loan. And because Christmas is in the air, we're spreading cheer with up to $60,000 at only 1%. Visit cathedralcutt.com or call 235-6947 today. Cathedral Credit Union. Member owned, member focused.
Escape to elegance at Le Chateau Suites Tobago. Gated privacy, breathtaking villas, unforgettable memories, where Caribbean dreams become reality.
Rise and shine in the morning is just part of my day.
From 6:30 to 8:30 every day. Foreign man says so.
It informs me of what happens in Tobago.
I find it to be so informative. Every aspect of Tobago affairs is being discussed there. So I will continue to look at Rise and Shine. That's my thing.
Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
I love Rise and Shine.
Have you visited Tobago Channel 5's Facebook or Instagram pages lately? Well, check them out now for all the interviews and up-to-date news. Remember to like, share and follow for Tobago news and current affairs information at your fingertips.
Welcome back to Before the Ballot. I'm here with Secretary Sonny Craig, and now we are going to good governance and leadership. What do good governance and accountability to the people mean to you beyond the slogans?
Wow, that's critical, boy. Wow. You know, I'm in a position to understand the marriage of responsible leadership and the state of your country. You know, there are some people who might enter this job, but they don't have a love for people. They might have personal ambitions, you know, but my experience is that we really need to always bear in mind the importance of having a happy citizenry, you know. So then you look at, but since I came to the job, there were people and situations I didn't know existed in Tobago. And it's critical that we as leadership take cognizance of how we deal with every single cell, every single atom of resource that we are entrusted with in the interest of the people. So it's critical. Leadership, governance, it all comes back to the kind of citizenry you want to develop and how you want to see your people prosper and strive. Yes. So it's critical, very critical.
Wonderful. So viewers, remember you can send your questions at 681-1005 on WhatsApp. But now we're going to take a live audience question now.
Good night.
Yes, good night.
Secretary.
Good night.
Live audience and watching by TV. I have a few questions about that. One is, what do you all concern government and usually past government? What is the assets of the country? They talk about starting from COVID, coming straight down now to hydrocarbons, right? You haven't mentioned the chief assets of our country and using it, which I believe is the youths and the elderly. Without the youths, there are no development. Without the elders, you can't teach them nothing. And none of these governments want to address the latter, which is the elderly. And when I was in health, that is where I make myself here come. When I better step out, I didn't get a chance to put forward, not from me, but for the elderly, not only for in Tobago but in Trinidad, because we have a serious problem pertaining to elderly who are disabled. I hear him mention all kind of things doing development in Buccoo, Canaan, Mount Pleasant. I hear him mention nothing but seen about the elderly. And we have a gathering now where the elderly between the age 60 and 65 are in a great problem when they're disabled. And nobody is addressing this problem. Right now I have a file and other people on the doctors, and all we're getting is so busy with budget, with this, with that. When that happening, both going on with the cut, the disability, the stop, the food care, the stop, the bus pass. We hardly getting medicine in CDAP. We see they're going on regenerate a new thing with CDAP, I heard the government say. But if you don't use your assets, how could you develop? How could you train? They're going to school, the man who sit down home who disabled or elderly, everything in his head and nowhere to send it.
Okay.
When we ask for the community centers to use, we will teach them some woodwork, some plumbing, some this, that. Essentially, old men, you know, they never went to school. They learned that trade better than the man who went to school. They don't want we teach it because we do have a paper. How we could develop a country like this?
I got you. I got
All
you.
the elderly just say no. All they want to play lotto and drink rum. And then, this question about, I wanted to raise, when we reach 60, they stop with disability saying we gain NIS $3,000. 12,000 a year maximum. Could any one of us here live on $1,000 a month, give or take, just to go down the road and come back up this $50, $60?
All right, then. Thank you. So the secretary could answer all the.
I would like to speak to you after.
Yeah,
No
so
problem.
he could answer all these questions.
Yeah. I think he kind of answered the questions while he was asking the questions. Recently, I was telling my wife, I said, listen, you know, there's a valuable market of persons who have retired and are just loaded with experience and knowledge and just home wishing that they could be put to use, yeah? And I was wondering if anybody else was noticing that sometimes you have businesses and you have a fairly young staff, and you believe that because they're young and whatever else comes with youth that you have it made. But it would be so interesting to have a nice ratio, a nice mix, and you treat them well, and you'll be amazed. I support the brother, and I think it's a conversation that could be had. It's not my direct responsibility at the moment, but it's a conversation that I'll definitely forward. Maybe ask the good doctor in developing social program and strategies that we could look at how we could utilize the elderly among us. And of course, nobody questions the youth. When I look at young people, sometimes I wonder, are we ready for this amount of energy to be unleashed? When you see them at 12, 13, you know, in 5 years, in 7 years, they'll be 20 years old at the peak. And it's a conversation we need to continually have to ensure that these generations are taken care of.
All right, so we have another question from the audience.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Assemblyman Craig.
Yeah.
Just to spin off on what you just said, you know, about the youth and the energy. And when you were talking about the vibrancy of the Buccoo and the boat race and all that, I wondered at the time, would it be beneficial to have some sort of a training facility to assist these youth that you say are unemployed, unemployable? Some training facility. You know, there's another talk about having a marina built somewhere in Tobago. And I know the Buccoo area, a lot of boats and so on. At least a simple thing as engine repair, something to help the youth, because they want a job. But ask them, what can you do? You know,
Right.
I just want to work. So you think in that community, right, in your community, if some sort of a training facility could be established to help them together. I know you would say there's something in Canaan Bonaccord, but if you localize this thing, I think you'll be able to attract you know, the youth program. Another thing concerned to me, I don't know if it falls within your portfolio, but that Montourbin golf course is becoming an eyesore. Does the THA have any influence in getting the owners to have that place probably manicured, you know, look a little more presentable, right? And the junction there, something needs to be done with the traffic lights and all that, right? So I hope that something.
Yeah, I got you. I imagine that we are men of a certain age and we have witnessed what the golf course was like in its prime. Yeah, and I remember what it was like, and I could attest to the fact that it's not where we want it to be. A young lady from the Buccoo Point area sent me a beautiful proposal on what could be done, and it ties in nicely with the environment. I'm having a conversation with the Chief Secretary to see if he could consider it as an option in dealing with the golf course, and maybe its restoration need not be one that takes, but it takes and it gives back. And that's the kind of proposal she gave me. So it's something that I will have to discuss with the chief. I emailed a copy to him, and at his convenience, we're going to have that conversation about the golf course. The training, I remember in another time, young people were just asked to work with a mentor. Sometimes you went to train and you didn't get a cent in your first few months because you're just learning. You're just learning. That's how young men learn trade long time. So there are different skills in the communities. Like there are a few guys in Buccoo who do great work with boat engines, and they have the young guys around them also. The challenge is certification eventually, because a lot of young people have knowledge but they don't have certification, and as a consequence they cannot necessarily move on to work for more established companies and so on. Great points. I'll definitely consider them and see if we could somehow standardize the training that the young people are getting in these areas. Yeah?
Yes. So, we'll continue. How did your time as Assistant Secretary teach you to build trust between the government and the people?
Right. My time as assistant, I'm still Assistant Secretary.
You are.
I've been called Secretary for the entire night, and
yes.
It sounds good. but I still enjoy being an Assistant Secretary.
Yes.
Yeah? I think that it's teamwork at its best, you know. And when you come to the table, or you come to the changing room in a sport, you have a captain, you have a vice captain, and you have players.
Yes.
And just to be on the team is a privilege. I did a count recently, and in the history of the modern THA, there are not even 500 Tobagonians who had this opportunity. So I'm very humbled to be a part of what I would call an elite group. And I am committed to doing my part. There's something in the essence of the question I'm missing. Could you just read it one more time?
Time as Assistant Secretary teach you build trust between the government and the people.
Right. People in Tobago are not complex. They have very good memories. And if as a political person you want to make promises to them, they remember. And so building trust or building confidence, however you choose to put it, you have to be real with the people. People come to me and they say, Mr. Craig, this is my situation. This is the suggestion I have that you could fix my situation. And I have to be able to tell them the truth, that based on where we are as an island, we will not be able to help you with that at this time. Right? And we are hoping that as we progress, we'll be able to deal with that. We must be truthful to people in developing trust. Politics is a funny thing where you feel some politicians believe they must always be giving you the good news and making you and giving you hope. I mean, hope is good. I give hope. Yeah, I give hope. Yeah, because but the reality is simple, right? The reality is simple. You be truthful to them and you commit yourself to helping them get out of their situation. So most times a government is removed from office, it's because the promises are just not coming through and somebody reveals some information, damning information, that interferes with the trust the people had in you in the first place. And I've watched it over the years, especially in Trinidad politics. There was a time when it was Pandey, he was branded as the worst thing, he was voted out. After 5 years, he looked good compared to the guy who replaced him. He was brought back. So that's conversation of trust will always be there, and as a political person, we need to be mindful.
Another question. What are some of the plans to bring back the tourists to Buccoo?
Buccoo has, as I said, the beach is one of the areas that a lot of tourists come to Buccoo. We are looking at converting the jetty into something that is more hospitable, because people will come to your area. There are some simple things in Buccoo. Buccoo is a unique village in the sense that, take for example the boardwalk, because of how it was done. Right now, the boards that make up the boardwalk are lifting off the ground, and people are stumbling on them. These things need to be fixed, because when people come to your area and they have a negative experience, it's discouraging.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So I interact with the Standard 5s in all the primary schools in my district, and I seek to encourage the teaching of a tourism consciousness. Right? I remember as a child, I went to Buccoo Point Government School, and we had a certain level of courtesy we were taught. I think it still continues, right? But to bring the tourists back to the community, we have to make the community attractive for the tourists.
Yes.
And once we could do that, they will come back.
Thank you.
Right?
So we are nearing close to tonight's session. Before we close, I would like to invite you to give any closing comments you may have around your 4 year as Assemblyman.
Right. When I came to the job, I was excited. I'm still excited. I'm still excited, and I enjoy the job. It's hard, it's demanding, and you need to be a problem solver to do this job. You need to be able to deal with a myriad of temperaments. Some people, very demanding, and they want it now.
Yes.
And some people, you could explain to them, and they are willing to wait patiently. But you cannot take that patience for granted, because they asked because they wanted it. So I came to the job, I met the demands. I think I have been able to communicate well with the people. I have not been able to meet every demand. I hold fast to the point that every single person could be a success, and I'm going to encourage the community to be a bit patient with the Assemblyman. The Tobago we met, and the Tobago we committed to fixing, would not be fixed in 4 years. And I know that persons might grow impatient, because especially when your concern surrounds food on the table for your children, you cannot push that back for months and years, because as food, you need that daily. But I'm asking Tobago people to be patient. I'm asking you to definitely consider reinstalling this government. I think that we have done good with the resources we have had, and I think that we will do better as we grow and as we learn. Right? So I think
Would you be offering yourself again for the next term?
Definitely, I'm offering myself, and the party has a democratic process, and I definitely have to work with the process.
Yes.
Right?
So thank you. And this brings us to the close of tonight's Before the Ballot. Thank you, Assistant Craig, for coming. I really enjoyed this session.
Pleasure
and
being here.
this evening was organized by Tobago Channel 5 in collaboration with Tobago CivilNET. And you could visit them on www.tobagocivilnet.org. Again, thank you so much for attending. I know the persons are glad to see you, and I'm sure they learned something this evening.
Thank you.
So I am Keena Macmillan. Good night.